Good morning, everybody. No, that's no good. I expect a response. Okay, you'll get absolutely nowhere if you don't make this in some way interactive. Okay, so can we just start that again? So, good morning, everybody. Thanks. That's brilliant. Okay, I've got to say, by the way, when Elaine said this morning, she said that most people over 70 spend most of their time around where they live. This is the first time I've been out for about 3 years. Honestly, I mean, I used to come to London about every week, and since the beginning of COVID, this is my first business trip. So I'm actually a little bit discombobulated by the whole thing. However, with you on my side, then I can do whatever. And I actually am going to recruit you to a slightly different way of thinking about innovation. And I'll start, I've got about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to hand over to the people who are most important in this session. And that is the people who are actually doing the work on the ground to penetrate the communities that need our help. They need our support. They need our advice. And my name is Roy Sandbach, and I was the first director of the National Innovation Centre for Ageing quite a number of years ago now at Newcastle University. And I've stayed involved with ageing because I am. And indeed, I've got a mother who is, and we have very different needs. I'm going to talk about innovation because innovation is my history. And but first, I walked around a major northern city yesterday morning, and I walked around the city centre, and it was depressing. I mean, let's be clear, it's depressing. I mean, Sarah shows us the numbers, but the fact is, when you're walking around a major northern city in the middle of the town on a Monday morning, it's pretty depressing, because it's pretty obvious that almost everybody that you see is old or sort of semi-retired, and almost all of them are not very well. And you think to yourself, well, why is that? What are we not doing that we should be doing? And what have we not done in the past, which we should be doing now? And the numbers are obvious. I mean, let's think about this. 75% of people are overweight. 30% are obese. The worst numbers, by the way, are among the 65 to 74-year-olds. Diabetes doubled in the last 15 years. This is a crisis. This is not a healthy aging challenge we've got here. We've got an unhealthy aging problem. And it's a crisis, and we better recognize it as a crisis. And so while long-term activity that relates to the things that I'm very interested in, science, technology, and design, they're all very important. But the fact of the matter is we've got a crisis, and the question is, how can we deal with a crisis now? Not tomorrow, not in 5 years' time, 10 years' time. And the people I'm introducing today, I'm very honored to do it really, because they are making a difference right now. And they're doing it without the sexy science, without the long-term pharma impacts that are often very expensive. These interventions are not expensive, but they need support. And they need support both in terms of resource, and they need support in terms of money, and they need support in terms of the ability to replicate. Not necessarily scale. There's a difference, an important difference, but a replication. Because innovation is matching what's needed with what's possible. And much of what we need to do in the context of making our aging lives better, those interventions are all pretty clear. I mean, there isn't a lot not known. You've only got to read all the reports over the past 20 years in the context of aging. They all say the same things. And so, but how do you make a difference? Well, let me go back to the city I was in yesterday. You go to one of its suburbs and you find 12, stand on a junction, you find 12 fast food joints within 100 meters of that junction. right, a problem. You need to intervene at a local level. You need to intervene in the streets, in the housing estates, where the people who I saw yesterday, they live, but they never engage with the big picture. They engage very locally. How do we do that? Now, the good news is that there are massive numbers of initiatives across the country that do exactly that. The problem we have is that they're not developed in a coherent way. We don't have a strategy to make them grow and flower across all of our cities and regions. And I'm just hoping that if you think through what you're going to listen to today, you can help me and others to answer that question. How do we get local, relatively cheap, relatively easy to execute initiatives that George's Healthy Ageing Challenge is without doubt supporting in many ways? How do we get them to grow and be supported by business? Some of them are community interest companies, some of them are charities. How do we get them to grow from that micro local level to be something that makes a difference, not in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, to be quite honest, but today, because people need that. The cities need it, frankly. The environments that we live in need it. I was shocked yesterday when I was walking around. Anyway, thank you. I won't rant anymore. Okay, that's just Roy's rant over. Okay, so we've got 3 really interesting projects that have been supported by the Healthy Ageing Challenge, Innovate UK, that I'd like you to listen to and learn from and engage with. I'm going to invite them to come on and introduce themselves in the work that they do. We've got about 7 minutes each, maybe 8, 9. Ask questions on Slido, because if you don't ask questions, I'll have to ask questions. And that, you know, that's, I didn't sign up for that. Okay, I just didn't sign up for it. In fact, tonight when I go home, my goodness me, I'll have a long sleep, because this is the first time I've been out. So ask questions and have a think about what I've said and what they're about to say. So thank you very much indeed, everybody. Right, over to you two first.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Roy, for that lovely introduction. I'd just like to introduce ourselves. We are from Active Families North East, and we are here today to talk to you about our wellbeing machine project. So I'm Kelly Brown, one of the directors of the company, and Amy Swan will be talking as well after me. So thank you for listening to us. So just having a look what we've got on. Yes, so hello from Active Families. If you could just... There we are, lovely. So I just want to set the scene a little bit about, so we are working across Sunderland currently with our wellbeing machine project. So just want to set the scene about what some of the things Active Families currently deliver in the city of Sunderland. So currently we have a programme called Active Forever. So this is our physical activity programme, which offers a range of classes in the community centres, in church halls, in care homes, assisted living centres, all across Sunderland. These classes could be gentle seated exercise classes, it could be beginners Pilates, line dancing, and if any Strictly fans out there, we also do Fit Steps, which is going down a real treat at the moment with that on TV. So a range of activities to engage those people who are aging well across Sunderland at a ground level. We also have a programme called Mission to Mobility. Now it is our mission to help those people aging well across Sunderland to be mobile, to be strong, and to protect them from falls. So our Mission to Mobility programme is an 8 to 16-week programme which incorporates 2 highly qualified instructors with a small group of participants and works across their aims and objectives over 16 weeks. But what we're here to talk about today is our wellbeing machine. So this is a van. This is our van that goes into streets and has everything you'll need in this van. Actually don't know how we get it all in the van, really. I think we might need a bigger van. So our wellbeing machine goes to ground level and targets those people who really need it. So we get data from Public Health, Sunderland City Council, so it's targeted approach. We don't just take the van anywhere. We target those streets, those areas, deprived areas, and we work at a ground level. We knock on doors, we go really to people. We take everything to people. The team of 4 knock on doors and talk to people at the door. We try to encourage them to come out and be active in their street, seat to the street. So this is where we get people out in their street with chairs, pom-poms, resistance bands, music system. You can imagine it now, can't you? An instructor, Mr. Motivator in the street. But it works, and we're going to show you a video about that very soon. The wellbeing machine is innovative, multifaceted approach, and engages people at a street level. As well as the exercise in the street, we know that's not for everybody. So we hand them a goodie bag, an exercise in a bag to use at home, as well as one of our newsletters. Our newsletters are just a real asset to what we do. We probably send more than 3,000 now, definitely more than 3,000 now, newsletters a month to our age and well population, and they say they love getting a letter in the post. It's not an energy bill, it's got their name on it, it's personal to them, and it explains what active families are doing in the community, what's going on down the road at a local community centre, and where they can go to have lunch club, be active, and making those social connections. So the newsletter works really well. So we offer a continuous cycle of programmes where people can progress onto different activities or even regress, but we can capture them round in that circle. So if they're regressing and they've maybe had a fall or an illness, they might want to come on our Mission to Mobility programme. But again, if they're feeling very active and energised, they might want to go to Fit Steps and kick their leg up really high and do whatever they do in Fit Steps class. So just moving on and talking a little bit about the wellbeing machine, and I'll show you a video in a second. The wellbeing machine goes to street level, but it also goes to parks. So the seat to the park, we're getting the gist of the name here, seat to the park. So we take exercise to the park completely free of charge, and the aim is to engage that person at the doorstep, plant that light bulb moment seed in their head, and maybe a month down the line they might come to their local park, to where they live, and join the community in the park, enjoy an exercise class, or maybe just sit with a cuppa and talk to a coach. But it's making those connections. We also wanted to incorporate our assisted living centres and schemes across Sunderland. So we work, it's seat to the car park. Seat to the car park or seat to the garden, mostly gardens, don't worry, it's not car parks. And this is where we incorporate our local community and assisted living centre schemes together. So we bring people from outside of the street who might be next to a scheme, bring them together and let them work out together, let them chat to each other, and just making a sense of belonging and community. And there's a little picture of our seat to the street, which you'll see a video for. I just want to show the next video, and it just shows the team at ground level doing what they do best.
Hello, my name's Sam and I work for Active Families North East. Today we're out in our local community, knocking on doors, speaking to people about becoming a lot more active. It's part of our wellbeing machine project and our Seat the Street project. We're out in the community, knocking on doors, interacting with people and trying to get them to become more active. enjoyed meeting new people today, and hopefully we might see you at one of our classes for our wellbeing machine, and we look forward to seeing you there. Bye!
Thank you. I'm just going to pass on to Amy now.
Thanks, Kelly. So my name is Amy and I'm the Creative Director of Active Families North East. So just on that video there that you saw, you get a sense of how we start to think about collecting data and how we measure the impact that we actually have with our projects. So on the back of innovation, our projects are, it's a very innovative project, as you can see. We get results, and that shows how we are making a difference and how much impact we are actually having. You've seen the girls when they were going around the streets, we take digital tablets with us, so we are actually able to capture our data when we are talking to people. We've been lucky enough to work with Unlimited and take part in their framework evaluation programs, so we use their framework to help us capture data that does have real relevance to us and helps us to then shape future projects and hopefully develop the wellbeing machine as well. We see the value in quantitative data and both qualitative data. We understand that it's important, as you see there. We've got statistics about our Net Promoter Score, how good our programs are in terms of participation increasing, and also how loneliness starts to decrease by people taking part. So we are there when we can crunch the numbers, but also in terms of the qualitative data, so the smiles on people's faces, the difference that we are actually making from getting people by just simply knocking on their door week on. You know, it might be someone who is quite hesitant about talking to us. We'll go back to them the following week, give them a knock again and say, how are you feeling? Are you feeling any better? So it's a slow cycle. We don't expect people to come straight away and join in with a class. We take it at their level, and it's up to, we encourage participation in the best way that we can. So 6 months into the project, and we've already engaged with over 6,000 members of the community in Sunderland, and that basically comes from working on a ground level with door-to-door engagement, and we make sure that every connection that we generate, everything counts, and we can do something to help people and support people in the community. So just in terms of where we are, our next steps is we're in a position now where we have this unique business model that is the wellbeing machine. We've piloted it, and it is in a position where we can take it up and it can be dropped in any community and adapted, and it works to get people more involved and to then sustain their activity levels. And just to finish with, we're just going to finish with another video which shows from a participation point of view how people can join in and be active in their street.
Friday nights and the lights are low, looking out for a place to go, where the play the right music, getting in the swing, you've got to look for kids. Anybody could be that guy, the night is young and the music's high.
That's everything. Thank you.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Sian Stevenson. I'm the Creative Director of Moving Memory Dance Theatre Company. And I'm here to talk about our ageing feasibility study, Damn It, Dance It, a project which has happened in a couple of shopping centres in Kent, exploring the potential benefit and impact for participants and shopping centres in terms of having an established flash mob style company living, if you like, performing within the shopping centre. But just to give you a little bit of context before I hand over to our participants to talk about that benefit and impact, Moving Memory is an inclusive physical performance-led company. We've been established for about 13 years and developed a distinctive performance practice which is an amalgam, if you like, of movement, music, spoken word, and digital resources. We are about empowering and equipping so-called ordinary people, not that we've ever met one, to become the movers and the makers, the animators of their own stories of the everyday. So we're about celebrating the everyday through performance and placing the older body centre stage. And there's a strong intergenerational element to our work. And in developing the practice, we found that while it's primarily targeted at older people, led by older people, the work extends and engages marginalised communities. So when we first started, we had a core company of women aged up to between 50 and 80. And we found that venues were very sceptical about older women putting bums on seats. So we decided to ignore that and take to the streets, to public spaces, challenging perceptions of age and ageing by delighting and surprising audiences with very physical theatre. And that element of our work has really found a home in Damn It, Dance It. So Damn It, Dance It has been explored at the Pentagon Shopping Centre in Chatham and the Royal Victoria Place in Tunbridge. Two seemingly very different places, but the impact has been huge and we have reached a really diverse, dynamic, wonderful group of people. And I'm going to hand over to them in terms of talking about the benefits and impact. I'll come back to this slide a bit later. So is that going to take me
It's a very interesting way of getting people from all different groups, whatever the age group, complete diversity, getting people together to enjoy dance and create dance together. And I think as a result, confidence rises and friendships are made, new friendships are made. So I think it's a wonderful thing.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. We do like different exercises, warm-ups, and then we actually do performances as well.
You bring your own attitude, isn't it? Your own dance moves, your own technique.
Some of your moves come really from within your psyche, because I had a move last week. I wanted to get rid of the hill I lived on because I'm fed up walking up hills. I want to get rid of it, but I can't.
This is going to be my first performance with them.
How do you feel?
I'm excited. I want to explore myself how I'm going to do it because I've never done it before. Like physically, health-wise, it's good for your body. You get to do movement. Like I'm a student and I don't get a single day in the week free. So Wednesday is the day when we shoot and I get to do some workout here. I get to dance.
I feel fitter. I feel more connected with my body, like listening to things, how far I can go.
I feel great after I've come out, and I sleep better.
I have mobility challenges, so it's been great to be able to get involved in dance and group activities and doing work in circles and step movement and stretching, and just like having a lot of playtime that is actually physically challenging.
The facilitators and the leaders understand the aging body, shall we say, and you're not pushed beyond anything that you don't feel comfortable with.
It's helped me for various reasons. One is that I'm over 80 years old, and the other is that I had a bad fall in July, which took 5 or 6 weeks to recover from, leaving me rather anxious and cautious about running around. But this has really released me and made me more aware of my body again, and also encouraged me to do more and more. It's been really good for my self-esteem, my confidence.
You just go, 12 years ago, I lost my home. I was in hospital 12 years ago. And if someone mentioned to me 12 years ago, you'd be doing theatre, you'd be doing dancing, you know, I think that's really good.
When you have problems, you come here and it's like an escape because you're kind of like forgetting what you've left behind.
Kind of very freeing. I think it's freeing emotionally and therefore mentally as well. Yeah.
I'd say that Damn It Dance has been the highlight of my week, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been like just coming together with friendly people, being in an upbeat environment with music and movement is so good for your mental health. It wakes you up, it opens you up, it cheers you up, it connects you.
My mum was getting involved, my mum was filming, but in the end she was dancing as well, she was getting involved. I think actually things like these groups, like these projects like this, they do expand people's horizons, and not just the people that are actually directly involved coming to the sessions and performing, but people that surround them.
It's so empowering for women, for men, for anyone that joins in. There's a lot to take in. I think the word that I always think about is empowerment.
My mum is like, that's incredible because you're getting out and you're socialising. But my partner thinks that it's nuts, and he thinks you shouldn't be doing it because it looks weird. But it's like, no, I love it, so yeah.
This is something that's really taken me where I like to be in movement, and my husband and I used to dance a lot, you know, just for fun at home, so it's filling a space in my life, definitely, yes.
It's been really important for me. I'm disabled and I'm isolated, so it's enabled me to make new friends, it's enabled me to have a purpose, and it's enabled me to do something that's enjoyable, and I come here in one space and I leave in a totally more uplifted space, so it's good.
I don't know if I can get back to the benefits slide, but just to finish by saying people often talk about hard to reach audiences. We don't believe these are hard to reach audiences. We believe that we need to put the resources in the localities you were talking about earlier, Roy, and we need the resources to support that long term. Because we would like to get, we believe that people dancing together, moving together, animating their stories, feeling important, feeling valuable, and getting their stories out there ensures that people are healthier, happier, and living more fulfilled lives. And we would like to see that across the country. We're a small company, and I have two now groups of Damn It Dance It companies who are so committed to the work, so looking forward to the next stage. And I'm worried about where we're going to find those resources. So we need help to think about how we can sustain those activities. And I think that's all I want to say. But yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi everyone, nice to see you all. I'm Becky Hadley, so I'm a researcher from the University of Hertfordshire, and this is going to be a bit of a whistle-stop tour through our research project looking at physical activity and social connectivity in older adults living with dementia. So I just wanted to start by giving you a bit of context and background to the research. So in 2015, as part of the Prime Minister's Challenge on Dementia, some targets were set for dementia-friendly communities for 2020, and this is a target that has now been exceeded. So what is a dementia-friendly community? Well, it's collaboration between organisations and local people working together to ensure that people living with dementia are valued members of their community. And typically dementia-friendly communities are geographically sort of defined. So, and you may also hear me refer to them as DFCs throughout this presentation. So one way in which dementia-friendly communities may address social inclusion is by enabling people living with dementia to participate in physical activity. And there's been a lot of talk today about the benefits of physical activity more generally for older adults. But we know that people living with dementia report that barriers to participation, things like stigma, a lack of access to information, and also the expertise of providers. So our project builds on some previous work, a national evaluation of dementia-friendly communities in England. And though this study, the DEMCOM study, didn't focus on physical activity, it did differentiate between dementia-specific and dementia-inclusive physical activities. And I'll come back to these terms in a short while. So to kind of bring this all together, our project focused on understanding how dementia-friendly communities enable people affected by dementia to undertake physical activity. So throughout the project, we worked with different patient public involvement groups, Voice being one of them, which I think they're part of a panel presentation later. And this was really important and valuable to our research project and led to changes such as us broadening our definition of what physical activity is. So we included things like household chores, gardening, cooking, and also expanding it to things like arts and crafts. So data collection took part across two different phases. The first phase was an online survey for DFC leads in England, and this asked them about the type and level of activities they delivered in their communities pre and during the pandemic, and also the resources needed to deliver these. And we had 31 responses to that. And then we focused on 3 case study sites. And these were dementia-friendly communities with differing levels of experience of providing physical activities for people living with dementia. And we asked providers, commissioners, and dementia link workers about how they delivered physical activities for people living with dementia. And then we also spoke to people living with dementia about their experiences of taking part in physical activity. So to come back to this dementia-inclusive and specific terms, so the results of the survey indicated that in dementia-friendly communities there were more dementia-inclusive activities being delivered. These are activities that are open to everybody but are adapted to include people living with dementia. And throughout this presentation, you'll see a lot of examples and pictures on screen from our case study sites. So on the left-hand side, you can see a picture of a walking group out on one of their walks. And this is a group that is open to carers of people with disabilities, but also for the people that they care for. Dementia-specific activities are those that are only open to people living with dementia, and these tend to be more specialist and tailored. And on the right-hand side, you can see a picture of a gardening group, and they run sessions for older adults with dementia, but also a separate group for people with young-onset dementia. Through the interviews and the case study sites, we found lots of examples of ways in which providers adapted services and equipment to enable participation for people living with dementia. And again, on the left-hand side, you can see a picture of a gardening group where they actually use flower beds at different heights, allowing people with different abilities to take part in gardening. And then on the right-hand side, you can see a gentleman playing clock cricket, which uses a foam bat and ball, which means that it can be safely played inside. So dementia is a progressive condition, and so adapting services to enable people living with dementia to continue to take part throughout their dementia journey is really important. And as you can see on screen, there is an example quote from a disability cycling organisation where they're talking about the types of bikes that they provide to allow people living with disabilities, including dementia, to take part in cycling. So they use things like side-by-side tandems and also trikes. There were a few examples of physical activity providers taking the activity to the person's place of residence to address access issues to enable participation. And we've had some speakers already kind of demonstrate that really nicely for older adults. So on the left-hand side is a picture of a gentleman who received doorstep deliveries of art boxes during the pandemic, and you can see that he's proudly holding the results of his endeavours there, his artwork. And then on the right-hand side is a lady who works for a cycling organisation, Cycling Without Age, and they work with care homes. They will cycle to the care homes to pick up residents and then take them for a tri-shore ride around their local park. So there were lots of examples of providers taking activities to people such as in sheltered accommodation and care homes. And you can see there's a really nice quote on screen about that, ensuring that people are visible parts of the community. There's been a lot of talk about benefits of enabling participation. There will be a video at the end of this presentation produced by one of the providers in our case study sites, which really demonstrates people living with dementia talking about this in their own words. So do hold on for that. On the left-hand side, you can see that there's a cycling organisation talking about the way in which people living with dementia taking part in cycling may connect them with memories in the moment of participating in that activity. And for carers, it also provides respite for them. So we mapped activities across the different case study sites, the dementia-friendly activities that were available, and there were a variety of activities available. However, people living with dementia and their family supporters repeatedly said that they found it really hard to access that information. And so we worked with Stevenage Borough Council to produce a booklet that is available either as a hard copy or online, and it's freely and publicly available. And this was produced in collaboration with people living with dementia who made sure that it was dementia friendly and accessible. And do pop by our poster where we have copies for everybody to take away if you'd like one. So based on those key findings, we have some recommendations. In particular, the information about dementia-friendly activities is provided at point of diagnosis for people living with dementia and at interactions with other health and care services, and that providers are to access dementia training and also share their successes and their knowledge with each other. I'd like to just thank UKRI for the funding for the project, and also NIHR, Applied Research Collaboration, for their support, and all of the people that took part in this research and gave up their time. And thank you all for listening, and this hopefully will go on to a video.
I care for my mum and my dad. The walks with stepping out have just opened up so many other avenues. It gives myself a break from my caring role. It gives mum and dad a chance to talk to other people and meet new people.
I'm out with people in the fresh air, and it's helping my dementia immensely.
It just does me good to be out amongst the trees and that. And I do feel a lot better for the walks.
You won the walking football player of the match, didn't you, Mum?
I certainly did, and we had so much fun that day.
A lot of things that are designed for carers that you can't take the cared for with you, whereas this we can bring our cared for with us and they can enjoy it as well. These walks help carers grow together because you're not so isolated, you make friends. We both found that it's made such a difference to us.
Oh, it helps you cope.
The fact that I have dementia, and I do forget, it's not meant as a joke, I do forget about it because I just want to get on and live life. And this is where it's great being in group walks. They're all looking out for me, making slight allowances for if I do anything silly, wrong, wander off or whatever. So I'm safe and I'm protected, and I can just forget the dementia and get on with living.
Everybody who goes on them gets a lot out of them emotionally, mentally. They're hugely enjoyable and we all love helping.
Bill always makes an extra effort because having Parkinson's, we never know if he's going to be well enough or not. But it's something we look forward to every month.
It is.
It's great to get out and be with other people. That's the main thing with it all of it, you know. And if there's a cafeteria with some hot drinks and some food, it's even better.
And it's the excitement of being somewhere. It's like, here, I've got no idea where it is. I know it's Doddington, but that was kind of meaningless. I'm going to be out. I'm going to be seeing these wonderful people and just outside, and everybody's got this lovely glow. Just a wonderful thing to do.
Oh dear. Thanks everybody. There's a lot of love out there for you, by the way. You know, because let's be serious. It's not easy to get out there and do this stuff. You know, I truly appreciate people who just don't just think big but act big. Now we've got a few minutes now, but let me just remind you of one or two things. I think I said at the beginning, and I'm just going to repeat it now. I've been involved in innovation for nearly 50 years, and in a major corporate environment, then in academia, and also in the public sector. And it's not invention. Innovation's not invention. It's all to do with matching what's needed with what's possible. And we actually know a lot about what's needed. And I think what you've seen here is a lot of possibilities that will match to what's needed. What you have to do then is have that dialogue between what's needed and what's possible, and you have to deliver. Innovation is not about ideas, it's about delivery. And so that message of what's needed and what's possible, that message of delivery and that message of dialogue is at the center of what we've heard here, I think. And the other thing that's obvious here is that it's user-centric, it's no, forget user-centric, idiot Roy. It's people-centric, right? And it's local. And so there's some important lessons. Now I've got some questions, so I'm going to ask you these questions. By the way, I wish I could do some of this stuff, but I did have a knee replacement about 5 weeks ago, and my consultant said, don't you dare go to London. So I can't do this stuff. Right, there is a big question here about funding. So for you guys first, who funds you, and is it a problem?
In terms of...
and be honest.
Obviously, the wellbeing machine currently is funded by UKRI. We're fortunate that we've been established for 6 years, so we aren't relatively new. So we have quite a good reputation in Sunderland particularly, so we have forged quite a lot of relationships with public health, with the local authority. So we are continuing in talks to how there is potential investment from them in terms of our services being commissioned. So that helps us out. But yes, funding is... It's a problem, isn't it? Yeah. It's always...
And time is key, I guess, for us. We're a KIC, so community interest company, staff on the payroll. When the money ends from UKRI, what's the next plan for the wellbeing machine? We can't wait and wait and wait. We've got staff, we've got programmes. I guess it is it is a bit of a concern because we're making so much impact. What is next, and who can help, I guess.
And honestly, time spent bidding and having chats with commissioners is not time for the team to spend in front of people. It's a massive sort of quandary that I think that exists for locally engaged groups, because they're constantly trying to find the funding, and at the same time trying to do the work. It's a mess in that context. We've got to deal with that. Sian, tell me about yours.
Well, we are a small charity, and we are funded by a variety of organisations, including project-based from work from the Arts Council, alongside local councils and small charities, as well as recently by this fund, which has been fantastic. We've also been funded by organisations like the Bearing Foundation in the past, but these are, they're project-based, and actually it's looking at that core funding, which can actually support small organisations who are expert in what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Our work is based on, 11 years plus expertise, supporting them to be able to look at long-term development and scale out, or, cascade those activities beyond our local base. And I think there's an issue around kind of what is quality resources, and actually around ageism, in terms of if we're going to engage ordinary people and for it to have a real impact on people's life and well-being, we have to put proper resources in place. There is some very strong work out there, participatory work, which is empowering people, and we need to put the resources in to support that.
Becky, did you, in your project, did you give any guidance on scale and replication of dementia-friendly activities? Because, even on your video, there were some fantastic ideas. They're great ideas, but they're not scaled, are they?
They're definitely all linking back with that theme around sort of local. They are all sort of local organisations. So something that we did find in when speaking to providers was actually links with local authority was really important, and actually something that they really valued and often found really difficult to establish. We were quite lucky with one of the local authorities in the case study sites that they were really supportive of the research and have a dementia subgroup where they've got together all of the different organisations focusing on that, but that's of course not the case for all. So we haven't made any specific recommendations, but part of the work did sort of highlight the value of local authority and how they coordinate and have access to these resources, and they can link physical activity organisations in with those.
I should say that I'm reasonably encouraged that the new integrated care boards are going to have another look at and need to be pushed on prevention and preventing people engaging with the health system. And I think the new chairs of those boards, there are 42 of them, but nevertheless, if we can get around them and we can push on local engagement to do with prevention, we'll be winning. Because then they can move, they've got big funding. Let's be serious, they've got big funding. You don't need a lot, is I think, a lesson, There was I'm going to use, there are lots of questions, and you need to take a look at them and answer them if you can as we go through the day. But there's one here, a lot of women involved and not very many men. Do you want to say something about that? Any of you, by the way?
Yes, typically I would say 90% are women in the age and well population who do attend our classes. We have seen more men attend. What we do find is often men might say drop their partners off, and then they might slowly stay and think, oh, actually I might join in. So we do, that is kind of a way, but we use data that we get from local authorities, so we are aware of where other men's groups might already be occurring, so we can target our research and our development that way. But it is something that we have started to look at and see improvements with.
Sian?
We were specifically set up to promote the voice of older women because that voice, particularly when we started, was very marginalised.
Yeah.
And we're led by older women, and we welcome everybody, but the women stay in charge.
Yeah. That's a challenge then, isn't it? There's a challenge there, which is what's possible for older men. We know what the needs are, but obviously longevity is less for men anyway. But there's an issue there. I work with one of the football foundations, and walking football is a big deal for men, more men than women. So that's the kind of look.
Embed it, promote it, but now I would say 90% of our classes in the community are sustainable. And they make a profit, which obviously we put back within the community. So Active Forever classes are fully sustainable. The wellbeing machine is a little bit different. It's a new concept. A lot of money's gone in for research development, so I can't say that is sustainable. But what we are looking at is, like Amy spoke about, is the final product and how we would then make this as a final package and then go to local authority areas and possibly sell this package to make the business case that way.
Sian, do you want to say anything?
Similarly, it's Damn It Dance is a programme based in shopping centres, so we're investigating whether shopping centres would actually benefit from the projects being present, with the hope that shopping centres might invest in repeat projects. And so far, shopping centres, interestingly, are saying they're not interested in the projects commercially. They're interested in them feeding their charitable strand of work in terms of actually building community and cultural community within their environments. But we are looking, again, similarly, to actually offer a substantial creative package which we take to local authorities. So looking for partners who actually will say, yes, the evidence is there, which it is, the research is there, we know it keeps people healthy. So being commissioned to actually do a broad programme of movement-based work in that locality.
Great. And your work is sort of preparative for this kind of thing. Okay. I'm going to close it now. I'm closing it now. Thanks, Sophie. I could stand here forever, but I'm going to say, if anybody wants to buy Active Families a bigger van, right? Or, and I'm pushing this one, by the way, or 10 great vans, okay, that they could use across the northeast, then just let them know, or let me know, okay? So thanks very much indeed for listening and engaging, actually. There were many, many more questions on Slido. Thank you all for your contribution and bringing some obvious possibilities for that local activity that makes a difference for those older people I mentioned when I started, you know, walking around the city centre of a northern, a northern city, to make them engage in a way which helps their health, and they don't engage with unhealthy ageing, but they engage with healthy ageing. So thank you all very much indeed.